Okay. Just testing. We're starting a little bit earlier just to test it out first. We'll start properly in about 4 more minutes. So in the meantime, if you guys have any um requests, I see we have some requests for pound and Aussie dollar. So if you guys have any other requests, feel free to pop them into the chat and we'll begin in about 3 more minutes. Thanks, everyone. Oh, okay, yep. I'll see you guys in about 5 more minutes. Or 3 more minutes. Thank you. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So I see a bunch of requests in the chat. Thank you guys for waiting. I wanted to start a little bit earlier today so that we have just to make sure everything goes smoothly. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So welcome to today's pre-market analysis. I'm Melanie and I'll be your speaker for today. So as per usual, a disclaimer, I see markets global does not represent that the material provided here is accurate, current, or complete, and therefore shouldn't be relied upon as such. The information provided here whether from a third party or not, is not to be considered as a recommendation, an offer to buy or sell, or the solicitation of an offer to buy or sell any security, financial product, or instrument, or to participate in any particular trading strategy. Risk warning trading with Forex and CFDs carries a high level of risk to your capital, and you should only trade with money you can afford to lose. Trading Forex and CFDs may not be suitable for all investors, so please ensure that you fully understand the risk involved and seek independent advice if necessary. Please read and ensure you fully understand our risk disclosure. So here's our agenda for today. We'll start off with some Forex pairs for the majors, followed by analysis on commodities, cryptos, and indices. And then lastly, we'll be taking any custom requests. Okay, so I'm your speaker for today. I'm Melanie. I'm an investment analyst at Rocket, who were finalist for Best FX and Equity Research in the years 2019 to 2021, specializing in technical analysis with a focus on Fibonacci retracements, extensions, and projections. Yeah. Okay, now let me just pull out my charts and then we can go ahead and get started. Okay. Um, okay, you guys should be able to see my charts now. Okay, right? Yeah, okay. So let's go ahead and just start off with some Forex pairs. I'm going to start off with DXY. Oh, actually, before we get started on anything, let's take a look at an economic calendar. Just to take a look at all of the fundamental events for this week. Okay, so the um the economic calendar that we typically like to use is forexfactory.com, and how we basically use it is obviously you have the calendar here, so you can click on this week's dates, or if you're interested in looking at the long term, so if you want to look at the month or just the date itself, you can do that as well. Apply settings. Okay, so I have all of the medium to high economic medium to high impact events for this week. So, medium to high basically is represented by these orange and red icons. And I have it filtered this way so that it's easier for us to take note of the events that might, have a greater impact on our charts. So if I click on this green icon here, you can filter out any event types, specific event types that you're looking at. We have growth, inflation, employment, central bank announcements, so on and so forth. We also have the different currencies. So if you only want to look at specific currencies that you are currently trading, you can do that as well. And of course, you can look at the low impact, which is this yellow icon, and even the any non-economic events as well. So this would include any bank holidays or I think it's mainly bank holidays. Apply filter, you can see we have a lot more events throughout the week to take note of. Okay, but it's entirely up to you what events you choose to look at. For us, we typically would just filter out any low impact events, and just focus on the medium to high impact events. Okay, so for this week, we have, okay, so if you take a look here, we have the currencies that are involved. the impact, of course, and for the the ne- the event types, and then the forecasted events, or rather the forecasted values, the previous values, and then once the data is actually released, it'll give you the actual values as well. Okay, so today we have China's industrial production and retail sales data. We have US Empire State Manufacturing Index as well. Tomorrow, on Tuesday, we have Australia's cash rates, RBA rate statement. So these are pretty high impact events. They are forecasted at 4.3, expected to remain the same from the previous. So we will see. And then for US, we have core retail sales and industrial production data. On Wednesday, we have UK CPI. This is also a pretty high impact event, as you can tell. Forecasted 2.0 with a previous 2.3%. So CPI is closely linked to your inflation data as well. Yeah, so that's why it's pretty high impact. Thursday, we have Kiwi's GDP, China's loan prime rates, Swiss policy rates, UK's monetary policy summary, official bank rates, US unemployment claims. And on Friday, we have UK retail sales, Euros, French flash manufacturing and services PMI, German flash manufacturing PMI, general Eurozone manufacturing services PMI, and UK as well, and US as well. And we have Canadian retail sales as well. Okay, so we have a pretty pretty eventful week for this week. Forex Factory sometimes puts like an umbrella on the report, doesn't put the results. Um, okay, I have never personally faced that issue. Um, my theory about what that means is the analyst is on holiday. That is a possibility, but most of the data that is given here can be found online on other websites as well. So if you just want to search up like once this data is released at 12 noon my time, 12 noon, you can just copy this China's industrial production, for example, just paste it into Google and it'll give you the actual result pretty easily. So I'm not too worried about the actual results. Um, I don't actually get that from this page. It's more being aware of when these data is released. So at 2:30, for example, I'm going to be prepared for my Australian dollar cash rate to be released at that time. So I'm most worried about the time, more concerned about the time than the actual data because I can get that from other websites as well. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at our charts now. Okay, let's start off with our DXY. Okay, so I like to look at the wait, can you guys see my charts? Okay, yeah, should be fine. So yeah, I like to look at the higher time frames first so that we get an idea of the direction that prices are headed towards. Um yeah, so on Forex Factory it gives you the data real time. Um, honestly, there are a lot of economic calendars out there as well. There's investing.com, there's baby pips as well. So yeah, feel free to choose whichever as long as it allows you to keep up to date with the data releases. Okay. So yeah, I like to look at the higher time frames first so that we get an idea of where, the general direction of prices are headed towards. Here we see prices kind of moving upwards in recent times. On our daily time frame, you can also see prices kind of moving upwards as well. Yep, we have prices moving in this ascending trend channel. Okay, and just to do a really quick recap, for this to be considered a valid trend channel, it has to have at least two touches at the top and two touches below. So originally I thought that we had a trend line. Well, okay, yeah, we might actually still have a ascending trend line because for a valid trend line we need three touches, and you can see here we have that. Okay, so pretty bullish trend in recent times. Now let's go ahead and add our support and resistance levels. So I'm going to place my first resistance here. Okay, my pivot over here. And my first support just at the swing low. Okay, I'm actually going to place my first resistance up here. And then a intermediate resistance over here. So this could be your partial profit, and also um your actual. So this would be your partial profit, this level here, your intermediate resistance, and then this would be your take profit. Okay. So the reason why I'm putting an intermediate resistance here is because we have two swing highs over here. Um, yeah, which is a pretty strong level. So just in case price isn't able to push past this level, I want to make sure that I do get some profit here before price reverses back down to my pivot. Okay, so we typically would recommend you to follow the direction of price unless you have a very obvious sign that the trend is going to reverse. So it can be your Fibonacci levels, your indicators as well, as long as you have a very convincing argument that you think price is going to reverse, then go ahead. Otherwise, we will go in and follow the trend, especially since we have a pretty bullish trend with our ascending trend channel and trend line. Yep, so let's now go in with our Fibonacci levels. Okay, okay, you can see my 61.8 projection lines up nicely with our intermediate resistance. Okay, I also have this Nike tick, I think. Yeah, my 161.8 also lines up. So you can see, if you're unfamiliar with Fibonacci levels, I'll just really quickly go through the shapes that we're looking at here. So for this Nike tick that I mentioned earlier, this is the shape that we're looking at. You can see the Nike tick is very simple. This is an inverted Nike tick. This is the Nike tick we're looking at now. And the levels that we look at for this Nike tick or Fibonacci extension are actually the levels that are between that are greater than 100. So the 127.2 and the 161.8. But we can see here our 127, even though it lines up with our pivot, price has already broken out of it. Okay. Price meaning this Fibonacci, this Nike tick shape is already broken out of the level, so that's why it's no longer valid. Okay, and that's why I'm only keeping my 161.8. And as for this 61.8 level, we're actually looking at this kind of like a lightning bolt shape. Okay, like a flash, like a flash kind of shape. Okay. And we are projecting where the levels are headed towards, as you can see here. Okay, so this is the shape that I'm looking at, and for projection, um, For projection, we use this tool. Oh, no, we use this tool, the trend-based fib extension. Okay, it looks like this. If you're using MT4, it's kind of similar as well. And it basically has three points. So you have the first point, the middle point, the ending point, and the levels that we use are 61.8, 78.6, and 100%. Okay, and you can see that my 61.8 and my 78.6 both line up with my first resistance and my intermediate. Okay. Um okay, I'm now going to go in with a retracement. So retracements are a lot simpler. There isn't a specific shape that we're looking for here. You can see my 61.8 lines up with my pivot. So I'm just going to keep that. Um, I think I might have another retracement here, 61.8 at my first support. Um, yeah, I think that might be all the levels. I normally like to prefer to get rid of the 0 and 100 if they aren't important levels, because at one glance, I want to see how many of these Fibonacci levels line up so that I can see that there is a um, confluence area. Okay, so if you're not too sure what a confluence area is, it's basically when two or more Fibonacci levels line up nicely. So you can see here, my 161 and 61.8 line up nicely at our intermediate. So yeah, so I'm expecting prices to hit towards this area. The reason why confluence areas are important is because they tend to attract price, um, but but prices might not be able to push past those areas. Okay, so yeah, so that's why it's important. That's why I wanna be able to identify them. Um, yeah, let's see if we have any more areas, any more Fibonacci levels. Okay, no. Um, Actually, I have this 78.6 as well. That lines up with that level as well, with our Fibonacci confluence level. Okay, if you can't see the shape, this is the lightning bolt shape. And you can see that it's reversing off of this level here. So it is still valid until price breaks out of it. Okay, now I think that's all the levels that we have. Now we'll go in with our indicators. So I'd like to start off with Ichimoku and MACD because at one glance you can see exactly what um the signals are. So on our MACD you can see it's pretty bullish. On our Ichimoku, price recently broke out of the clouds, broke above it. So it is giving us a bullish signal as well. Okay, so yeah, pretty strong bullish momentum here. Um, yeah, any questions? Okay, if not, let's go ahead and take a look at, I think, is there a request for UK and Aussie dollar and Japanese yen? We have some mixes as well. Okay, let's start off with the um pound dollar first. So on our weekly time frame, um, I guess it's kind of trending here. On our daily time frame, it is also ranging. Yeah, I don't think we have. Oh, we have prices moving in ascending trend line as well. Okay, we have 3 touches on our trend line minimally. Okay, now let's go in and add our graphical levels. This is my pivot. Okay, my first resistance. Oh, my first support. Okay, now going in with our Fibonacci levels. Okay, again, my 161.8 lines up with my first support. The Nike tick levels, this is what it looks like. Okay, at the same time, I also have a flash or like a lightning bolt shape here. So I'm gonna go in with my projections. Okay, no. Um, okay, my 78.6 lines up with my first resistance. Mm, my 38.2 is pretty close to my pivot, so I'm gonna keep that as well. So these Fibonacci levels don't have to line up exactly at your horizontal levels. As long as it's kind of close, that's good enough. Because remember, we're looking for confluence areas more so than specific levels. Mm, okay, my 100% projection level lines up with my first support. Okay, here I'm expecting prices to drop in line with our ascending trend line. Okay, now, but let's look at some indicators first. So Ichimoku, you can see prices are moving above the cloud, so it is giving us a bullish signal, whereas MACD is in line with our bearish signal. So I'm gonna get rid of our Ichimoku. Um, let's look at stochastic. Okay, so on our stochastic, um, okay, we actually have what's called a hidden resistance level here on our stochastic. So basically what this means is that we have hidden support levels here. Okay, and it caught our previous two bounces correctly, and then now it looks like prices are headed towards that level again. So we have to wait and see if prices are gonna react off of this hidden support level again. But yeah. So basically, you can see the hidden support level here. Yeah, and it caught the two reversals correctly, so I am expecting it to happen again, but I will keep this kind of KIV first because it's not really showing us much for now, other than it definitely showing us a downtrend. But yeah, let's maybe look at RSI as well just to be sure. Okay, RSI isn't telling us much. Okay, so yeah, we'll just have to see if um prices are actually gonna drop. Um, yeah, do you do swing trading intraday? Yeah. So that's why I use Forex Factory, and that's why I was talking about the timing, because for swing trading it's pretty important to be able to catch the timing of the reversals, any significant drops due to data releases. Yeah. Okay. We have a request for Aussie dollar. Okay, let's look at that. Okay, now on a weekly time frame, you can see prices have been dropping over the years. If we look at on our daily time frame, you can see prices are kind of fluctuating. Does look like prices have been moving in an uptrend recently. Um, okay, I don't think we have any trend lines or trend channels here, so I'm just gonna go straight into our pivot, our support and resistance levels. Sorry. I'm not sure why my brain just blanked out there. But okay, I'm gonna place my first um resistance up here. Mm, um okay, I think let's just go ahead with these levels first. Okay, we can move them around after we're done with our um Fibonacci levels as well. So this is gonna be my intermediate resistance. Okay, so I'm going in with my retracement first. You can see my 38.2 lines up with my pivot. Okay, I'm going in with a projection. So, Um, okay, my 127 lines up nicely. Okay, my 61.8 also lines up. Let's see. Okay, and we have this confluence area here again. Okay, my 61.8 also lines up. So you can see this is a huge confluence area here. Um, mm, yeah, I'm not too sure about this entry point here. Let me just see. I kind of wanted to break out of this pivot level here first. So you can see where price is currently at. But I wanted to break below first before going in for a sell towards our first support. Because this is a pretty big confluence area, because we have three levels and we also have, price testing this level quite a number of times. So, yeah, price might not be able to push past this level, so I am expecting it to break out, but only if it breaks out of this pivot level. Yeah. So basically, entry points, I would just look at my entry points basically is this pivot level here. We just call it a pivot level instead of your entry point. And how we go about it is we basically look at um there isn't really a specific way. It depends on the graph. So you can see like previously, we would just, go in for a buy or a sell based off of what we were looking at. But here, if I'm expecting it to drop and I want it to break through a certain level, then my entry point will be somewhere below this level. Normally you want to support your entry points with your Fibonacci levels as well. Yeah, so it depends on the chart, really. Yeah, I think that's all the Fibonacci levels we have here. So now let's take a look at some indicators. So I'm going to start off with Ichimoku MACD again. Here you can see price is moving above the cloud, so it is a bullish signal. Whereas on our MACD, it's supporting our bearish signal. Let's see. Uh, Maybe looking at our moving averages, prices have, you can see, just dipped below both of our SMA and EMA. So it is a bearish signal as well. Let's see if stochastic tells us anything. Not really. Let's look at RSI. Okay, it's not telling us much either. Okay, so yeah, so we'll only go in for a sell for this if it breaks below the pivot point. But of course it might not, and it might attract price again towards this level here. So yeah, we just have to see what happens here at this pivot point. Okay. Because at this pivot point as well, you can see price actually tested this level like twice, actually more than twice. Okay, it's an overlap level as well, which makes it pretty significant. That basically means that the bulls and the bears respect that area because we have a swing high and a couple of swing lows. So yeah, we just have to see. Okay, Japanese yen. So on our weekly time frame, you can see prices moving upwards. On our daily time frame, yeah, it's kind of moving upwards as well. So I'm gonna place my pivot here. First resistance up here. Okay, and I'm going in for a Okay, my 161.8 lines up. You can see the Nike tick here. Okay. Um, I'm going in with my projections as well. Okay, you can see the 78.6 also lines up, and so does the 100. Okay, so I might actually place a second resistance here, um, just for my own reference. Okay, and for my first support, I'll place it here. You can see my 38.2 line up. Okay, now going in with our indicators again. Um, yeah, here we have a confluence area here. Mm, for Japanese yen, I feel like it is kind of dependent on um what our what our data releases are. But for this week, we don't really have much. So let's um mm, so if we just look at the chart itself, it and going by expecting prices to move upwards since it is already moving in an ascending in an uptrend. I'll wait for price to break out of this pivot and then go in for a buy towards this first resistance. If it breaks out of this first resistance, subsequently towards my second resistance. Okay, because prices are moving in an uptrend. Okay, you see prices moving above the cloud here on our Ichimoku. MACD, you can see it is kind of changing a bit in the momentum. So it's bearish currently, but there is a slight bullish momentum there. So I'm gonna KIV this. Okay. Actually, okay, maybe not, since it is giving us a bullish momentum. Stochastic, you can see prices moving in this ascending trend line. Okay, so yeah, that's for Japanese yen. Japanese yen and gold. Yeah. Um. Okay. So on gold, on a weekly time frame, you can see prices moving upwards, but there is a bit of a dip in recent times. Here's my first resistance up here. My pivot over here. First support moving it down here. Okay. Um, Okay, I tried to look for Nike tick here, but you can see this level price has already broken out the 161.8. So I'm gonna get rid of that. Mm, okay, maybe let's look at our 4-hour time frame instead, because it's a little bit easier to analyze on. Okay, so I'm gonna move my first support here instead. I pivot here, and my first resistance here. Okay, my 50% is in line with my pivot. Mm, okay, you can see the 161.8 is kind of aligned with my first support as well. So again, doesn't have to be exactly in line. Again, the Nike tick shape is like this. Like this. Okay, this is an inverted Nike tick. And then my projections. You can also see my 61.8 lines up. Mm, yeah, I think that's all the levels. Now let's look at, okay, price is moving within the cloud, which suggests that the trends are kind of changing. Um, Originally it was moving below the cloud, which means it was a bearish signal. So we'll just have to see if prices move above the cloud. So I'll IP that. But for our MACD, you can see it is giving us a bullish signal. If we look at our moving averages, it's also moving above. Price is also moving above the averages. Um, okay. Okay, stochastic isn't telling us much here. We look at RSI maybe. Okay, you can see RSI is moving in an ascending trend line. Okay, and also we have a descending um bearish divergence actually, or a bullish divergence rather, because you can see price made a lower low. Okay, but on our stochastic RSI, it's giving us a higher low. Okay, so that is a bullish signal as well. So again, I'm going for a buy if price breaks out of the pivot. If it reverses off it, of course, I'll go for a sell towards alpha support. Okay, so again, depends on your pivot here. Okay. Really quickly, something I wanted to mention is that, okay, since we're looking at gold, so your DXY is actually inversely correlated to gold. So whenever you can see I'm comparing the price structure now, but you can see when there is a rise in the price of gold, you can see your DXY kind of drops. Not the same, not proportionally, but yeah, there is a inverse correlation between them. So that's why it's important to follow your fundamentals here, because even if it's something like your unemployment claims, which are every Thursday, right? If they um come out to be lower than forecasted, of course that is a good thing, greater employment, then we might see a rise in the XY and a subsequent drop in your gold, for example. Okay. Yeah, so I've done gold. Okay, I might not have time to go through all of your requests. Um, let's look at Aussie cat, because Aussie and Kiwi are kind of similar. Okay, Auscat pretty bearish, but in recent times quite bullish. Daily time frame, yeah, we have prices moving in an uptrend. Let's see if we have no trend channel, but we do have a trend line here. Okay, now I'm going in with my pivot. Mm, okay, yeah, let's go in with our Fibonacci levels now. So my 70.6 and 61.8 both line up. Right now, going in with a Nike tick. Okay, my 161.8 lines up with my intermediate resistance. Um, okay, even though the 61.8 lines up with my pivot, we can't actually use that because price has already broken out of it. But you can see the 78.6 lines up. Okay, I think that's all the levels. You can see this huge confluence area here. Okay. Now looking at our indicators, moving above the cloud. So again here I'll see, because at this pivot level, it is a multiple swing high and overlap level at our pivot. So I want to see if price is going to rebound off of it or if it's going to break past it. Yeah, so I will wait. I would wait to see what price does at this pivot level before deciding what to do. Yeah, but keeping in mind our indicators, I would go in for a buy if price reverses off here, simply because it is a uptrend, so it's in line with the trend. Let's maybe look at our stochastic. Okay, so actually on our stochastic, okay, we have that same hidden resistance level that I was talking about earlier, and it looks like prices are approaching that level. And you can see it did catch the previous few um reversals as well, like previously. Here. Okay, so we might see that happen again here. Yeah. So again, I want to see what happens when price breaks out of the pivot. But we might see it drop and reverse off of the trend line. So that's CrossCat. Um, Euro Oz and Euro and Euro Pound. Okay, it's pretty there's no real trend there. Okay, here we have my pivot as resistance and my first support here. Okay, my 78.6 lines up. Let's see if my 100 lines up as well. No. Okay, but I'm gonna keep it there as well because um just for my own reference. Okay, 78.6 lines up. Okay, my 38.2 lines up with this 100% here. Okay, so I'm gonna place a intermediate support level here. Okay, so we would normally follow the trend, right? And here we do see a downtrend. So that's why I'm placing an intermediate and then a actual level here. So this would be again your partial profit and your take profit here. Um yeah. Let's look at some indicators. Ichimoku MACD. So price is moving below the cloud, so it's bearish. MACD is also giving us a bearish signal. Um, One of my favorite pairs, I like Euro Oz. For no reason really. But mostly would be your majors. Those are the ones that I typically look at. The crosses would probably just be Euro Oz. Or pound as well. Euro pound. Um, yeah, I think that's all the levels that we have here. And both of our indicators give us a bearish signal, which does support our analysis as well. So yeah. Okay, I think that's all the time we have for today. Before you guys go, I just wanted to briefly talk about this website. If you guys weren't so clear about what I was talking about with regards to Fibonacci, right? Feel free to take a look at this website. It's completely free. Um, yeah, we have the YouTube videos as well. We also have a Fibonacci series which is pretty in depth. It goes through all four of the Fibonacci techniques pretty in depth. So stay tuned for those. But in the meantime, feel free to take a look at this website. It's very simple guidelines. But the most important would probably be looking at the confluence levels here and being able to identify them. Okay. Yeah, we have some like trade management techniques here as well. So, yeah, feel free to take a look at this at your own time. And yeah, so that's it for today. If feel free to add me on LinkedIn. It's just Melanie Chong. You probably will be able to see my posts from IC Markets. And yeah, so thank you guys so much for joining me. Hope you guys found this session helpful. Have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you guys again next week. Thanks, everyone. Bye. Thanks, everyone. See you guys next week.